Here, you can be your best. The best train here. Learn here. Succeed here. Perform here. Win here. Thrive here. Itawamba Community College. The best start here.
Thinking about going back to college? Good news, it's not too late to sign up for face-to-face or online classes at Itawamba Community College. ICC offers a 4-day schedule so students can enjoy a 3-day weekend. Find out more by calling 862-8000 or by visiting iccms.edu. Scholarships and financial aid are still available, so sign up today. Itawamba Community College, the best start here. Good afternoon and welcome to this edition of the ICC Hour. I'm Adam Gore. We got a jam-packed show for you today, so we're going to jump right into it as we're going to have a conversation with Mr. Bill Miles. It's part of our 75th celebration here at ICC, and Mr. Miles has been a great friend, a great champion of ICC, and so he's got a very interesting conversation about his time here at ICC, his time in politics, and his very interesting touch with history here in the state of Mississippi. So let's get to that interview now here on the ICC Hour, being presented to you by Renasant Bank.
Ooh, fumble. Let's give her a Renasant replay. Make the right call with Renasant and get cell phone protection with Renasant Rewards Extra Checking. Sign up today.
All right. Well, I'm Bill Miles, and I live here in Fulton. And most of my life I've spent it here in Itawamba County. But I have had business interest in Lee, Monroe, and Itawamba County, as well as some other areas. In regard to Itawamba Community College, or I may refer to it as IJC, I have often said that I believe that I am an example of the kind of person that the community college system was meant to benefit. I came off of a family farm. My parents had limited formal education because much of that was not available to them at the time they were coming along. I was the youngest of 5 children, considerably younger than my 4 siblings, all of whom had gone through the high school program before the community college was organized here at Fulton. But as I came along, the first year that I attended the campus of IJC, where Itawamba Community College now occupies, was in the early 50s. And I was a 9th grader out of a 6th grade program there. The community colleges, as you are aware, were able to expand because they could add 2 grades to an agricultural high school. And Fulton had an agricultural high school. Therefore, Itawamba became the 13th and 14th grades of the program. So that was how that I came on the campus of IJC. And I spent 6 years in the school there, and then went on, transferred to Ole Miss, and actually ended up working at Mississippi State after Ole Miss, and then came back into the area in the newspaper field. And the president, Philip Sheffield, who had been a benefactor of mine, academic benefactor at any rate, and the encourager while I was a student, encouraged me to become a part of the journalism program that he wanted to start at IJC. And this gave me at least a tie to the staff, faculty for 10 years at IJC before I went on to other things. I have had the pleasure of knowing all of the 7 presidents of IJC. Some of them I have been a close colleague with. President Sheffield was a very unique visionary. And without him, I doubt that IJC would have ever become a school. And because of his drive and his ambition and interest in providing opportunities to the citizens of the area that were not able to go to a senior college or to a more formal higher institution, IJC became very important. Now, Mississippi was unique in the community college system because it was the first state to have a community college program. Itawamba is the youngest of the Mississippi junior colleges. I saw Itawamba, I was a student, either a senior in high school or a freshman in college, when Itawamba achieved the Southern Association of Colleges and Secondary Schools accreditation, the first time it had the opportunity to apply, which at that time was very unique. And after that, then of course, Itawamba has made great strides and added campuses and so forth, but you cannot measure what Itawamba Community College has meant to this region, not only in providing educational opportunities, work opportunities, or whatever it might be, but in the overall atmosphere and concept of the economic development.
Talk to us a little bit about your experience as a college student, those 2 years where you were at IJC, not at IHS. Share with us what things were like as a student, maybe some of your best memories. You've already spoken about how President Sheffield was an encourager and a mentor of yours. Maybe there's other faculty you want to speak about. Just share with us some of your thoughts and memories about your time as a student.
Well, you know, as later on as an instructor, I saw this with students that I taught, how they matured from the first time you see them until they leave to go on to other things. And I suspect I was one of those too, because during my early high school years, I decided that I wanted to be, if I could not play baseball, I wanted to do the next best thing, and that was write about it. So in order to pursue that sort of opportunity, I became a member of the school newspaper, The Chieftain, which was the paper for the high school and the college. By my 12th grade year, I was named the high school editor of the paper and got a job with a local newspaper here. And as a result of that, I became more of the face of the student newspaper. And for the next 2 years, then as a college student, I was also editor of the paper and began to develop a connection to Mid-South newspapers who would pay me to write stories. And as a result, I knew most of the things that was going on at the college. The faculty in the college were very close to interact with one another. And as I said, Mr. Sheffield, as the president, he set the example for everybody. He was a person that speak to you. I suspect he knew most of the students' names. I was amazed he knew who I was. Long before I became an editor of the paper, and I had to go over and explain to him why we'd written a story that we did in the paper that he didn't like. But he was fair. You usually knew where he stood pretty quick. Then, just before school started that year, he had a heart attack and died. And the academic dean, John Crewball, became president. Mr. Crewball was one who all the students loved, and they did not view him as the authority figure that they might have viewed President Sheffield. But Mr. Crewball was a very capable president and student-oriented, and it was during that time that the latter years of his administration, that I became involved in ownership of some newspapers and gave up a part-time position as teaching journalism. And Dr. Benjamin, W.O. Benjamin, became the president, and lots of federal money was available, and Dr. Benjamin had been point man for, I believe, the city of Greenwood school system, and he understood how to deal with the feds on getting money. And the political situation was such that he was able to access a lot of money and build a lot of the buildings that's on the campus today. And of course then he was followed by David Cole, and David Cole is one of a kind. And not only did David Cole have the ability to communicate with anyone at anywhere on any level, he also was street smart. And I might say that he had an undergraduate degree in journalism, and that didn't hurt him any. But and then, of course, during the time he took a leave of absence to become the chief of staff for the governor, and W.E. Boggs became the president. Then Dr. Cole came back, and then Mike Eaton, and of course today Dr. Addy. But as I recall on the students back at when I was in high school, we knew most of everyone. And you had a center point on campus called the rec hall. And everyone went to the rec hall sometime. You had a lot of veterans. You had veterans, you still had a remnant of veterans from World War II. You had quite a few from the Korean conflict. So you had quite an age difference from a ninth grader to maybe someone who's in college who was a veteran. And still, there was a very close-knit community. And most of the time on activities like, I remember we had to give a day, a semester, or a day of school year to pick up paper on the campus and sort of monitor what was going on, trash. And we not only did that, wasn't just a high school, but we partnered with a college student that day. And so therefore you had an interaction that numbers take away. Even though you want growth and everything, numbers take away from that kind of an atmosphere. The faculty seemed like they were interested in every student. They're certainly interested in me, or I wouldn't have done as well as I did. Some of the teachers must have seen more in me than I saw in myself because of the way they encouraged me. And I believe, I think this would be accurate, that I was the first student to come through the college pursuing an academic degree in journalism. And so I did all right.
Tomorrow. Tomorrow is what we anticipate, what we work for, what we want to improve. At Itawamba Community College, we offer the courses, pathways, and the training that can help turn your vision of tomorrow into a reality. So why wait? Your tomorrow can start today at Itawamba Community College. The best start here.
Kirk Herbstreit is a man of many talents, not only an athlete and a sportscaster, but also a skilled swordsman, a master chef,
Needs more lavender.
a wonder at word games.
2 tries, every time.
But his true talent lies in the art of banking.
With Renasant Bank's great products, rewards, and easy-to-use online tools, every transaction is a masterpiece.
You might refer to Kirk as a Renaissance man.
But I call myself a Renaissance man.
This broadcast is being brought to you by Renasant Bank, Little Caesars in Fulton, Tupelo Coca-Cola Bottling Works, the Orthopedic Institute of North Mississippi, Davis Ford, First American National Bank, TM Realtor Agent Ricky Murphy, Max Home, the ICC Baptist Student Union, Cagle Eye Center, Bank Okolona, Sam's Town Market in Mantachie, State Farm Insurance Agent Brandon Poland, the ICC Wesley Foundation, the ICC Foundation and Alumni Association, and donations to the Sports Information Indian Club from viewers like you.
Thinking about going back to college? Good news, it's not too late to sign up for face-to-face or online classes at Itawamba Community College. ICC offers a 4-day schedule so students can enjoy a 3-day weekend. Find out more by calling 862-8000 or by visiting iccms.edu. Scholarships and financial aid are still available, so sign up today. Itawamba Community College, the best start here.
Not only were you a student and then back as a faculty and involved with the college there, but you have another unique perspective in that you spent time in the state legislature. Can you share with us what experiences you had in that role as a state legislature that interacted with ICC or other community colleges, and maybe some of the things you saw there and how you were able to be involved with the college, either through working with the presidents or through projects that could help it grow? Just anything you can share about that would be nice.
Okay. Well, the voters of District 21 posed at that time of Itawamba and Monroe County, portions of that, sent me to the legislature in 1996. And the legislative session was already ongoing about 2 weeks, 3, when I went in the special election. Dr. Cole called me and said, there's a bill coming through the legislature, bond bill, that will provide funds for the community colleges to build some buildings. Be nice if you could sign on as one of the co-authors of that bill. And I went to the Speaker's office and asked about it and signed on with a bond bill that provided the funds for the David C. Cole Student Center. During that time, probably the first session, I believe it was first session, we passed the impact legislation that allowed parents or grandparents to pay for tuition at present rates of the time for their children or grandchildren. And I was able to sign on there as a co-author of that, as it had already gone through. And we were able to, my late wife and I were able to fund our grandchildren's academic education, 2 years of community college, 2 years of senior college at the tuition rates of that time. Those were a couple of things that I had, because I always supported public education of any kind, and community college certainly. But highways, education, and healthcare were the main things that I was interested in the legislature, because those are things that benefit people. And one thing that my folks encouraged me and my siblings, but they didn't have the opportunity because they were caught up, they were adults during World War II. and I had three brothers and a brother-in-law who served at that time. But my parents understood that a path to success was by the schoolhouse door. And sort of paraphrasing Governor Winter's statement there, that the road out of the poorhouse goes by the schoolhouse. And by the way, Governor Winter and I were very close friends, going back to when he was, long before he ran or was elected governor. And he influenced me, and he, of course, rightly was known as the education governor. And but these are things that people take for granted today, and certainly Itawamba has a lot of fine buildings and great academic folks and workforce training and all of the above. But had it not been for the vision of a handful of folks in the late 1940s that was able to put Itawamba Junior College as one of 3 county-supported schools. I mean, you had Itawamba, Lee, and Monroe counties were the 3 counties that supported Itawamba at its beginning. And then, of course, Pontotoc was added to it, and Chickasaw, and so forth.
I know you've got multiple generations who have attended ICC, worked for ICC, different ways. Would you share a little bit about what ICC has meant to the Miles family? With you got kids, grandkids that have attended, worked, some still working with us. Just share anything you want to about what it's meant to your family.
Well, 3 generations of my family, and I was the first of my family to get a college education, and would not have been able to do it without IJC giving me the basis of 2 years. Then I found a way to do the other 2 years. And so both of my children went through IJC and then on to Ole Miss, and one of whom got advanced degrees. And 2 of my 3 grandchildren, and all 3 of them went through the community college program, but 2 of my 3 grandchildren, I have 3 grandchildren, are IJC graduates, or ICC graduates. The other one chose to go to another state community college because of baseball, and went on. But and like as you mentioned, my oldest grandson has his doctorate and is a math instructor at ICC today. And not only that, in-laws. Both my children married IJC graduates, and met them while they were in school.
I now teach a publications class on the campus there. We do the yearbook and work with Donna. She does the Chieftain still. What kind of, how many people on staff did y'all have back then?
Oh, well, that's a good question. At that time, we had a combination of high school and college staff. You had a college editor and a high school editor, and I don't remember the first journalism class, I suspect, that was taught in high school. Mr. Sheffield asked Ms. Anstone Ernest to teach class. I have that book that she used to teach. She'd never had journalism or anything like that. But she taught the class from a book on it. I would say we had 15 or 20 staff members in college. A number of veterans who were much older than I. and a number of men who were. Out of that, we had a pretty good newspaper. Later on, as I came back and all, I was sort of in the role that you're talking about, where I supervised the Mirror and all of it in it. As an instructor, I am pleased that at least 2 of my students left Itawamba. The program was set up to interact with Ole Miss, where I got my, because I had no journalism credits, college credits when I left Itawamba, and that made me. It was good for me because I'm so interested in journalism that it was easy for me. The class was easy, and I got to take a pretty heavy load, 21 hours a semester. But out of it, but 2 of my students went on to be named the outstanding male and female journalism graduates at Ole Miss.
That's great.
Dwight Gentry and Vicki Kennedy Lindsay, both of whom worked on the school paper here. And a number of students that I had, some of whom I reconnected with on Facebook, all the way to Connecticut, are generous enough to give me a little bit of credit for having inspired them to go on to do something that was either in journalism or on the peripheral of journalism. And so I think it's a worthwhile program.
I agree. Obviously, we've got nice cameras and toys.
Oh, yeah.
What kind of equipment did y'all have back then?
Okay. Well, I could show you back there in my office if you had time and everything. I think I've still got an old Crown Graphic, big old camera. I know I have got a portrait camera that I had bought to do pictures for the school annual for portrait, because had to end up doing something with that because the commercial photographer changed or something like that. And we had, of course, back, everything is so different there. We had, one of the things that Mr. Sheffield did, one of the first trips I made with him about even looking at anything about a journalism program, we went to the old war surplus warehouse at Jackson, where they had stuff that come out of World War II again. And we put together a dark room at the college. So part of the journalism program, I would at least teach students how to make a picture and maybe even develop a picture. And of course, at that time you had to use all the old chemicals, you had the, developer and then shortstop and the hypo and all of that stuff that you may or may not be familiar with. And the camera things today, obviously the phone cameras are better than the cameras we had back at that time. But yeah, and then again, of course, we had to pick out on the typewriter, an old manual typewriter, the stories. You didn't write it in longhand, and so it went in the paper. Then they had to be taken to the commercial print shop where they were set and type with a line of type. Then at the beginning they would run on what's called a letterpress, so that meant that lead type was printed directly onto the paper. Later on, offset came, which, and everything. And then, of course, the technology. I've seen all of that evolve from the time that I started to work for the local paper here as a 12th grader in the fall of 1954. And I graduated from high school in 55. So I've seen a whole lot of changes made in the field, and even to the point to printing newspapers are becoming extinct.
That's home. That's just like the Ravens. That's just like Pahokee, Florida. That's my second home. I got my degree from there, my first degree, college degree. It's part of my heart, it's part of my soul, it's part of my spirit. And, you know, it's everything. Itawamba Community College, baby, it's everything. It shaped me up to being a great man because it was part of the journey of me becoming the young man I am today. And it's home, man. That's it. Like, I can go there and lay my head down without no problems. Itawamba Community College, the best story here.
Why settle for a checking account that just holds your money? Renasant Rewards Extra gives you so much more. Like savings at more than 400,000 retailers, 24/7 roadside assistance, a cell phone protection plan worth up to $400, $25 in ATM fee refunds per monthly cycle, and a great interest rate when you meet 3 easy qualifications. Get extra today at rewardsextra.com. Renasant Bank, understanding you. Member FDIC.
Everyone has a unique story to tell. Maybe your story has you performing your new song in front of a crowd, getting to play your favorite sport, or enjoying a horseback ride in the country. At Orthopedic Institute of North Mississippi, our group of skilled surgeons understand your need to continue your story. That is why we are the preferred choice for orthopedic care. Thank you for choosing us. Our story is you. Orthopedic Institute of North Mississippi.
Little Caesars Detroit-style deep dish pizza has caramelized crispy cheese edges and a soft, chewy center. Do you love it, Matthew Stafford?
I'm not a walking billboard.
Okay, never mind.
Pizza, pizza.
Get Little Caesars Detroit-style deep dish pizza for just $8.99.
Pizza, pizza. It's the Little Caesars Pizza pregame with Pals, Pepsi, and pizza.
A pizza pregame with Pals, Pepsi, and pizza.
Totally.
Thanks, Matthew Pafford.
Order online before games and you can win prizes, like Super Bowl 57 tickets.
Pizza, pizza.
Kirk Herbstreit is a man of many talents. Not only an athlete and a sportscaster, but also a maestro of the clarinet, a famous speed solver,
Piece of cake.
a noted cheese connoisseur.
Limburger.
But his true talent lies in the art of banking.
With Renasant Bank's great products, rewards, and easy-to-use online tools, every transaction is a masterpiece.
You might refer to Kirk as a Renaissance man.
But I call myself a Renaissance man.
Thinking about going back to college? Good news, it's not too late to sign up for face-to-face or online classes at Itawamba Community College. ICC offers a 4-day schedule so students can enjoy a 3-day weekend. Find out more by calling 862-8000 or by visiting iccms.edu. Scholarships and financial aid are still available, so sign up today. Itawamba Community College, the best start here. Welcome back to the ICC Hour presented by Renasant Bank. We continue our conversation with our friend Mr. Bill Miles. Now, you may or may not know that Mr. Miles has a very unique touch with Mississippi history. That being, he was the only journalist/photographer covering the events as they unfolded on campus during the 1962 integration of Ole Miss. Now, you can find his collection of photos, fittingly named the Bill Miles Collection, on campus in Oxford and online at egrove.olemiss.edu/miles. Might be easier just to go ahead and search the Bill Miles Collection there. So let's get back to our conversation with Mr. Bill Miles. Hear more about this moment of Mississippi history here on the ICC Hour.
I was with the Journal, and I broke the story of Barnett and Bobby Kennedy's deal. But the Journal would not run it because they were afraid Barnett would close the college. And didn't want to be a part of what had happened in the 30s when Bilbo had closed the college and it lost its accreditation. I had the story on Thursday night. The Journal did not have a Sunday paper then. I didn't get back in time to have written the story of Thursday morning's paper. And so the Journal, Harry Rutherford made a decision not to run my story on Saturday. Sunday, as the build-up began, and put Meredith in and all, and I was, of course, as any reporter would do was pleading with them to use my story. They reluctantly used my story but took my byline off of it. And probably was rightly so, because they did it to protect me. And if you see what's happening on the national level and all that kind of crap, you can understand what you would have been going through in 1962 and or 2022.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a sad state of affairs. But anyway, from that, several of the national media and we were all pitched in the same pot over there. One of the guys overheard a conversation I was having with the National Guard people down at where the base was, down at south of Oxford, toward Water Valley, a place they call Ivanhoe. It was just set up for the National Guard guy. And we had local units down there, and so I went down there, and this guy came to me and he said, he's from Look Magazine. He said, "Say, I understand that you have some information about a deal between Governor Barnett and Attorney General Bobby Kennedy." And again, having been a freelance writer and supporter and understanding, I thought this could be an opportunity to write a magazine, $1,500 story for Look Magazine. And I said, "Yeah, but I don't want to talk to you here. I'll talk to you in the office in Tupelo." And so the next day, we were supposed to meet the next day, and I had classes early in the morning, but I would get back to Tupelo about 10 o'clock. I had 8 o'clock class, and then an 8:56 class, had an 8 o'clock high school class, and an 8:56 college class. I get back to Tupelo about 10:15. So I went in, I asked the lady at the desk there at the Journal on Magazine Street at the time, I said, "Has anybody been looking at me?" I said, "No." I told her what had taken place. She said, "Well, somebody came in and got half a dozen copies of the paper that had your story in it Monday, but I never get her mind." About a month later, I lived out close to Rankin School at the time, and I'd go home for lunch, and I'm passing Todd's Big Star, who's a big there, and all I see is this panel truck has magazine, delivered. And on the billboard of that is, "How a bloodbath was averted in Oxford, Mississippi last fall." And of course, Kennedy revealed it. By the way, I have that transcript, copy of that transcript in my file here that Judge Davison got from the Justice Department after he became a judge. And he made me a copy of it. And I have the transcript in my file here, as after the Ole Miss stuff, by the way. Mm-hmm. I gave everything I had about it, I've accumulated again. But anyway, I don't know if I answered your question or not there on it, but anyway, that's how that I ended up with the collection. And Andy Mullins, who was the Ole Miss lobbyist at the time I was in the legislature, Dr. Jones was president. Andy, I went by there. Ed Meek contacted me. We got the pictures, turned them over to Ed, and they made the display, Charlie Mitchell and Will Norton and all over there. And then went by Andy Mullins' office just as a matter of courtesy, or maybe somebody called Andy and told him I was there. And Andy found out what it was and said, "We need to have that collection." And he got Lee McQuite and another lady, I can't remember her name at that time, to come down to his office. And that's how we started, and we put it together over several months. And they did an outstanding job of putting the collection together. As you know, it's housed over there close to Vault Stadium, not at the library.
Yeah.
And it's, I remember Andy said, "What kind of restrictions do you want put on it?" And I said, "None." He said, "Well, knowing you and all, I would think that'd be what you'd say." I had an inside connection, as good reporters are going to have. A reporter is only as good as his news sources. And I had a source inside the plainclothes division of Highway Patrol. Didn't have a force, so it wouldn't be hard for you to figure out who I had. at that time. We probably got 300 today. But at that time, he revealed to me, he overheard the conversation, he was in the room with the conversation. So he revealed to me, and out of it, but because of my connections, not only, see, you had a lot of sheriffs over there during that time, they would say, you're about 25 yards from where it's going to take place. If I were you, I'd be down close to the Catholic Church. And maybe during that time, I'd look across over and say, is that Paul Johnson in that little falcon over there? Yeah, I believe it is. Because that'd be like a highway patrol. So I'd go over and I'd say, Governor Johnson, I'm Bill Miles with the Tupelo Journal. I hope you're not here for what I think you're here for. And he puts up those papers and he weighs them, and then there's papers of the proposition of interposition that the state can refuse to obey a federal law if they've got a law that's contrary to it, which the Supreme Court said the hell with that. And so I'm only, and I said, you mind if I make a picture of you, Governor? He said, not at all. That's all matters is here for publicity. Then I hear my source squawking on the radio. I'm leading the men right now. I'm about 1 minute away from the campus. I'm the only newspaper reporter around.
I thought you were the only one on the bridge. What on the bridge? But there at the intersection there that day, you were the only one there when Governor Johnson.
Probably the education bill.
Mm-hmm.
So then I called Andy Reese, who at that time was UPI bureau manager, and his daddy's field's named for in Tupelo, Andy Reese Field. Andy was the bureau manager at Memphis. Later went to Jackson, then was House Information Officer when I was in the legislature. Died from a heart attack during that time. But at any rate, Andy, and they were over in the Lyceum building where it's nice air conditioning and all that, you know. And I called Andy, and you don't have cell phone, call them down, they phone from the Catholic Church. Say, anybody get down here, this is where the place is going to take place. I said, I'm scared to leave, because the day or two before they'd put a blockade up, and I believe it was the day before, they put a blockade up and blocked all the people off, and I was the only UPS newspaper representative left on the campus. They'd all gone off the campus with my camera in the car. And you can imagine if something really had happened that day, they'd all lost their jobs. Because, you know, but I came up against people like Bob Considine. I don't think the names mean anything now, but Richard Hearn. John Herbers, I don't know if that name means anything to you, later was with the New York Times. John Herbers was UPI bureau chief in Jackson at the time. They had pictures of me and him, and I'm sitting there with a cup of coffee looking bewildered, I guess, in there during the time they said, but you can see Herbers and others, you know, they got, but Dr. Talbot told me, he said, Bill, you know they're not going to come up to the Lyceum bill. They're not going to do that. So you need to figure out where do you think they'd come if they don't come to the Lyceum building. That's the first day. So the night before, I go over and I hunt up UPI guys, because the Journal is a UPI paper. And I figure I'm going to get beat. I have no idea, you know. I'm mid in the first reader up here. And I won't ever forget, I was at the mansion there with 4 of us sitting in the booth. And one guy said, I was at Little Rock when the Little Rock 8 came in or whatever. Another one, I was at Americus, Georgia. And the way the feds do it is they'll drive up to the front door of the Lyceum building, they'll get out, and they'll walk in, and they'll walk down to the registrar office. They'll register him, and they'll put him in, and that'll be it. And I said, well, in my humble opinion, I think it'll be on some building off at the edge of the campus. Oh, no, that ain't the way the feds do it, so I didn't say that. The next day, after sitting over there a while, I got bored, and I got up, and then law school was where the journalism school is now, Farley Hall. And the continuation center, of course, around there by the bridge. And I walked around the campus a couple of times. Bill Street was a reporter with the Commercial Appeal, and he was a real good reporter. And when I walked up the second time went around, Street is pretty close, at the entrance to the alumni coffee shop. As I walk up, Street said, "Miles, you think you're pretty sharp, don't you?" Just like that. And I said, "Bill, who's in that building there besides Bob Ellis?" And I knew where Bob Ellis was, where he was going to take place, because he has a restaurant. Who's in the building there beside Bob Ellis? I didn't know where Bob Ellis was. He said, "Clegg, George Street." George Street was his cousin. So I knew I'd found the place. Mm-hmm. And so about 30 minutes later, I just stayed there. And about 30 minutes later was when Meredith came up the first time. Barnett turned him away. I've got a picture of, as you've probably seen there, Brad Dye was a state senator at the time. Walter Hester was a representative, Barnett, and all. I also got a picture of Paul Johnson there at that day, but he swore that he was not there to the U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals in New Orleans, who had him under court order not to interfere. Also, the day that Johnson turned him back and all, after that happened, I jumped in the car with an Associated Press guy, and Highway Patrol just stopped us like that. We were waving our press badges and everything, and all at once, a couple of minutes, they back away and said, "Go on." So we go, at that time, they got left, see, they've gone back. I think they flew in, but they might not have flown in that day. I know when they brought him in, they came in, but I think they came in a helicopter. They were going to bring him down on Thursday in a caravan. They turned back at Batesville. But anyway, on that particular day, Clark Portis, that I mentioned before, the Metro Press Secretary, and I went to the room that we thought Barnett was in, and he was there within 10 minutes, which meant he was sitting off down the road, listening to it on radio. Let Paul get to stand tall that fall. Mm-hmm. And so we went down and we knocked on the door. And some security guy comes to the door, and Clark says, "Would Governor Barnett come to answer a few questions for us?" And the guy looks sort of funny. And I see Paul Johnson sitting over there like this on the bed. And I said, and the guy says, "Governor Barnett's not saying anything." And I said, "Would Governor Johnson come speak to us?" And the guy looks at me kind of funny, and Clark said, "Governor Johnson not here, is he, Bill?" I said, "Would Governor Johnson come?" Paul gets up off the bed and comes over, and I won't ever forget, Clark says, "Governor," said, "I knew your daddy real well." He was governor. I said, "How would you think he would have handled this situation today?" And Paul Johnson Sr. used his walking stick on Major Sullins, the editor of the Jackson Daily News, in the elevator over a story, if you know any of the history. And Clark was alluding to that. That didn't mean nothing to me, and I could care less. I remember Paul said, "Well, I don't think he would have been as mild as I was."
Tomorrow. Tomorrow is what we anticipate, what we work for, what we want to improve. At Itawamba Community College, we offer the courses, pathways, and the training that can help turn your vision of tomorrow into a reality. So why wait? Your tomorrow can start today at Itawamba Community College. The best start here.
Kirk Herbstreit is a man of many talents. Not only an athlete and a sportscaster, but also an expert cartographer. an amateur alchemist, a surprisingly gifted poet.
What rhymes with encroachment?
But his true talent lies in the art of banking.
With Renasant Bank's great products, rewards, and easy-to-use online tools, every transaction is a masterpiece.
You might refer to Kirk as a Renaissance man.
But I call myself a Renaissance man.
Today tastes like a home game, like a huddle. Tastes like we're bringing the heat, and like a front row seat. Today tastes like we're a team, and it never tasted this good.
Ever since we opened our doors in 1964, Davis Ford in Fulton has been committed to providing the highest level of customer service and customer satisfaction. That level of commitment is shown in our 18 Ford President's Awards for overall customer experience. Whether you're looking for a tune-up, a trade-in, or a new F-150, the team at Davis Ford is here to serve you. Come see us today in Fulton. Call us at 662-862-3711 or visit us online at davisfordsales.com. Davis Ford, small-town dealership, small-town prices.
Thinking about going back to college? Good news, it's not too late to sign up for face-to-face or online classes at Itawamba Community College. ICC offers a 4-day schedule so students can enjoy a 3-day weekend. Find out more by calling 862-8000 or by visiting iccms.edu. Scholarships and financial aid are still available, so sign up today. Itawamba Community College, the best start here. Well, that's going to do it for today's ICC Hour. If you happen to miss any of this show or previous shows, you can go back and watch them on YouTube. All you got to do is search the ICC Hour. Again, that's the ICC Hour on YouTube. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel while you're there. I do want to say a special thanks to our guest today, Mr. Bill Miles, for sharing his story about ICC and some of his other interesting life experiences as part of our 75th celebration here at ICC. I also want to thank Michael Upton and CJ Adams for filming and conducting the interviews as well. Now, if you have any type of memorabilia, photos, news articles, stats, stories, anything that you would like to share in conjunction with our 75th celebration here at ICC, please reach out to me via email at acgore, that's acgore at iccms.edu. And don't forget, it's still not too late to sign up for classes here at ICC. Visit apply.iccms.edu. That's apply.iccms.edu to find out how you can become the newest member of the ICC family. And remember to ask about our adult learner incentives, scholarships, and other financial aid opportunities that are still available. Now, for all things ICC, follow Itawamba CC on your favorite social media platform and visit iccms.edu. You can keep up with all things ICC athletics by following Let's Go ICC and by visiting our athletic website, letsgoicc.com. Hope you guys will join us next week right back here starting at 1:06 for the ICC Hour, being presented by Renasant Bank. Visit renasantbank.com to find out why they are the bank that understands you. Have a great week, and as always, Roll Tide.
Playing on tour takes years of dedication, hours of practice, focused precision, and nerves of steel. That's how you become great at the game, but not how you should bank. That's why Allie Ewing chose Renasant Bank. Their easy-to-use app makes banking a breeze, no matter where she is. Renasant Bank, understanding you.
Here, you can be your best. The best train here. Learn here. Succeed here. Perform here. Win here. Thrive here. Itawamba Community College. The best start here.